We're live.
Okay, fabulous. Welcome everybody this morning. It's a little early. I still haven't had my caffeine quite kick in yet, but we are super excited to announce this new Search Diligently tool that Rodolfo's been working on, and Cameron and I and many others have been testing it out. Um, Part of this search tool is that why Rodolfo came up with it, and we've been kind of talking about it, is we kind of had this vision of really helping people to, or help you guys help facilitate your ability to search the scriptures and to search words. And that has been like a huge aspect of learning the scriptures better, at least for myself. And Cameron, probably you would say that as well. I feel like everybody who kind of comes to really love the scriptures, there's this aspect of having searched the words that really plays into that. So this is something we've really thought would be powerful and helpful to anyone and everyone, no matter where you're at in your um, journey of the scriptures. So I don't know. I guess I'll mention too, we're gonna have two different series, one on why we search and another on how to search. Today Rodolfo's just kind of he'll introduce the tool and just kind of show a little bit of how it works so people can get started on it, and then those series will come out a little bit later on. You guys want to add anything to that?
Uh, it's super cool. I mean, so we've gotten the chance to look at it and get into it and play with it a little bit. Very, very cool, very powerful search engine. And Rodolfo, I think, is kind of tailoring it in the spirit of searching and seeing word links and seeing how hyperlinked, if you will, the scriptures are. Because that's when it really starts to get excited. We talk about this idea of a mountain where all of these different pieces kind of come together. And I think the excitement that Rachel's describing with the scriptures, at least in my own experience, has been starting to see how different passages are all describing the same thing but from different angles, and they each give you different details. And so you can kind of start to put together this picture. It's like you're with the old overhead projectors, you can like lay them on top of each other, right? And get like a conglomerate sort of image. And so this tool will be really, really helpful for doing that because you'll be able to search terms and compare passages at the same time. Anyway, very excited to roll this out here. So
But
great
I have
work on Rodolfo's part. Yeah.
say when when I first started searching words, I was all on paper, you guys. I didn't do anything on the computer. It's like 4 years ago. So now that you can copy and paste all these things, Rodolfo's going to show us. I think the ability to increase your learning is just, it will move so much faster.
I
So
did, I did. So my evolution with this has been, so I read I have all my paper scriptures and highlight, try to color code, but then it was a mess, right? I don't know how to color code things. So then I move on to have my own copies just for one type of topic. And that way I can color code. I just buy cheap copies of the triple combination and the Bible. But then when I realized I need to start seeing things together side by side, um, I start how you say cutting the verses in the paper and put them in pages. So I have all of these pages just cutting, ripping off all of these Book of
like
Mormon.
yeah, print it and cut it.
Yeah, and then I realized I can do this in a spreadsheet. So then I move on to spreadsheets, and eventually I found a qualitative research tool, and then that did the job. But then I cannot share that with other people, and so it's been for many years just try to replicate some of that online for people to have and enjoy and have fun. So that's yeah. I hope this will be a project, a community project that is coming from all of you guys. What would you like to see on a search engine tool? And I stole the best from most of the other tools that people already are using, and so we're gonna see some of that. But just let's walk through it because I know it's summer and most of you are want to have fun. So if you go, so first of all, we will have our main website for content maybe first. So we have our we will have front-end content videos and blogs and things like that. And then when you log in here, we will have our courses and our forum. That's gonna stay the same. And then we will have a link for the tool around here. And then if you go, this is searchdiligently.com, but if you go to searchdiligently.net, that's where the tool is going to be hosted. And there is no login, so you just come in, this is what you will see. So it's open source, and yeah, you guys can have access to it as right now. This is version 1, and then at the end I'll tell you some of the things that will come over the next months. Maybe it will take a year to have the whole development of the tool, but right now the search functionality is working very well. And that's the main thing. I really want to have a search engine that you can search for different words and phrases. So to give you an example, you can come here and in the search, in the main search engine, you can type a phrase. For example, I can type the word search diligently, and you see that the tool is going to start searching for the phrase. If I click search, I will start seeing where all of those results are the phrases together. If I add a comma, then it's gonna start showing a verse where those two words are in the verse, not necessarily together. So if I click search, now there are 10 results, and you can start seeing the different verses and variations. Like Cameron said, sometimes these variations help you to see they're talking about the same thing. The translator used the word slightly different, but you can start having a picture of them. A cool thing we have is when you click on one, so if I want to go, for example, Alma 17:2, I can click on here. It will take me to the chapter and to the exact location. That way I can see the context of how that verse has been mentioned, so you can do more research there. If I go back, then this was a feature that Ray suggested, that we will go back to the exact verse that you click. So you can go and start clicking and then going back, and then your search is going to be saved. Another thing you can do very quickly is if you want to have just the verses that apply to whatever you are looking for, you can start removing some of the results. So you can start cleaning some of the, for example, I don't like this. Let's see, maybe Matthew, I don't know. You just take it out, and then that is going to be removed. And then also, if you want to take this and start putting them on a spreadsheet or on a Google Doc, you can just copy the verse. And then this is something that took a little bit of time figure it out. But when you paste it, you're gonna have the reference of the verse at the end, instead of you typing it out or you pasting it. Then how many times that happened to us? We paste a scripture, you wanna analyze it, but then you don't paste a reference. You need to go and search for it again. It will save you some time. If you add the option to select verses, you can select the verses you want. And I want these 3, you can copy them. Same idea, you can come here, paste, and you will have the references there, or you can just select everything and then it will do the same thing. So that's kind of the basic interface. You can always go and click on a verse, see the context, come back, keep searching. Any thoughts on that very quickly before?
Only that it's awesome. I'm so excited. The fact that I don't have to go back and try and remember what am I copying and pasting from? I like having to go back because I can't remember what verse I was on. Like, that's awesome.
It's
Awesome.
It's no secret, for as great as the church's website is with all the resources that they have in one place, that the search engine is less than optimal. So it'll definitely be awesome to have a tool like this. Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the advanced.
Yeah, let's do a filters option. Yeah, if you click on filters, you will have now, we want to add more. We don't want to overwhelm right now everyone with so many features. The first one is going to be, you can expand your range. For example, if I search for, I have a couple of samples already, so I'm not guessing. If I add the word remember and the word covenant, and I search, I put enter, so you're gonna see you have all of these results. But if I want to say I want that to be between 2 verses or 3 verses, because again, we cut these verses, we decided to cut some of these verses. It's not the original, how the original scriptures were meant. So sometimes you have a bigger chunk of section that is intended to stay that way. So if I look for search now with a 3 verse range, you're gonna see now we have 3 verses that you're gonna start seeing that this word is repeating quite a bit. You don't want to miss that. And then if you click, of course, you will be taken to the main section. So that's one feature. The next one will be the option to have a search for whole words too, instead of having a partial word match on a phrase, on another word. You can also select that. This one I like it a lot. So if you have, if you enter the word or, you can start finding also different, you can have 2 searches at the same time. So if I want to look for remember covenant, or put also David and covenant, or I don't know, I want to see a specific covenants, you might start seeing the verses that talks about one or the other if you want to compare 2 different searches. And it's gonna be color code for the different ones, so you'll know which one is which. Sometimes you can find intersects. I don't know if there is one here. If there is an intersect, means that all the words and 2 searches appears in one verse, and those are fine to see. And you're gonna see that color code red. And then the other one is that you can, this is super handy to me, is that you can search by books. For example, if as we are studying Isaiah, if I go to Isaiah, I can go to the Old Testament, just select, where's Isaiah? Here we go.
Middle.
Isaiah only. And then I can start seeing what Isaiah says about some words, which is different than how the people use the words. And for example, one thing you'll notice is that if I type judgment, it's the judgment.
I think that is right, actually. I think it is.
Yeah, judgment.
Yeah, I like that.
Righteousness, okay. And just in the book of Isaiah, so it will show me all the references. And you'll notice that most of the references are going to be between Isaiah 1 and 39. I made that connection once because that's what really brings forth, so judgment and then righteousness. But then if you do a second search and you look for the word righteousness and salvation, you're gonna see that most of the righteousness and salvation references are after chapter 39. And that gives you like a nice, and then you see an intersect here in red. But you can search by words. I think a big search that I did myself was a couple of years ago. I searched for the word Gentiles in the Book of Mormon. And I know there are 108 references and 106. Well, that to remove, I don't know why, maybe I need to reset the filter. 1 second. So filters, select all Book of Mormon. Yeah, now 108 results. And yeah, you can start seeing, okay, what the Book of Mormon says about the Gentiles, which is different than maybe what the Old Testament used the word, and then what was their understanding of who these people are. And then you can see where that knowledge is coming from. Anyway, so you can start playing with this and do fun connections. And yeah, that's a way to use it. One more quick feature here is that you can duplicate the screen when you're on the advanced search page. And then you will have 2 searches. So if you want to see side by side, maybe I can type the word Gentiles versus, and the word work. So then you can see, and I can select the Book of Mormon, or I can apply the filters here too, and then just compare side by side different search. So that's kind of the main search functionality. Now, the tool comes with all the standard works. And if you go to any type of chapter, for example, let's go to Genesis chapter 1, you will have here the text for Genesis. One thing we added is the ability for you to adjust your text. So if I want to have a different font, I selected the fonts that are more easier to read online, also help you more with recall online information. So I did a little bit of research, and these are the main fonts. So you can change your font, use our default font. The church uses this font, I think called Palatino. And then you can also increase the size, so you'll have a better user
That's
experience.
nice. And I could take my glasses off.
If you want to use dark mode, I have a dark mode here too. So you can just change that and it stays the same. Okay, another feature is that when you're in a chapter, you can also duplicate the screen and you can find another chapter. So you can compare two chapters at the same time. For example, if I go to, I think you mentioned this one, 7520, and then I compare this one to Isaiah 52. This is Cameron's feature. So we have two chapters and we can scroll down. And so at the end of 75 chapter 20, you see that the Lord is going to start quoting Isaiah 52, but he does it in a different order. So you can start seeing the order that the Lord is using. And actually, he makes a couple of comments in between explaining what Isaiah 52 means. So, yeah, I think it begins around, then shall the watchmen lift their voice, verse 32. I think that's verse 8 in Isaiah 52. And you're going to start seeing the arrangements. And there's a lot of thens and then and then and then. And so you can start seeing, okay, what actually the Savior is saying about. So you can compare two chapters. One of my favorite things that is going to be very useful for me is that we added a search in the chapter box. So if I type, for example, for the word arm, you see that only the verses with that word is going to start showing up. I can do the same here, and I can compare if there is any different any differences. Another chapter that this might be very useful is section 88 and versus section 93. If I want to learn more about the word light, and I can add that here. So then you see only the verses with the word light is going to start showing up, and I can compare two sections and start, making connections. And so that is one feature that we have available. So if I go to another chapter, for example, let's go back to, and if I want to learn, like I said before, want to add the word light, then only the verses with the word light will show up in the section in the screen. So now you can do a select. For example, I can select also some of these. I want to copy some of that. If I copy any of these, so it's gonna paste them also as a whole reference. So you will have the whole reference there. And if you do the more, I don't know, I don't want 8, I want 9, I want this one, and then I want 40 and 44, it will do that whole combination. So it will that be done. Okay, so that is chapters, chapter division. You can compare chapters and all of that. The last thing is, to me, also was a missing piece, how I search sometimes for scriptures. I go to Google and try to find the church website. But here you can quickly go and try to find a chapter, a verse, if you know the reference, or if you know the words. for example, if I type, I don't know, Genesis 24 and push enter, sorry, let me take that. It will take me right away to Genesis 24. So I can go to any chapters, for example, 35:21. It will take me to 35:21. If I know the reference, for example, Daniel 11:21, this is when the Antichrist is introduced. It will take me exactly to the reference. So I can go to 35:14:7. And then as you type, you'll see that the 35:3:7, you see a little bit of the verse, so you know where you're gonna go. If you don't know the verse or the chapter, and what are the words, right? I
do that with you all the time, where I'm like, the word is this, where is it, Rodolfo? And you can always pull it up, but for the rest of us who can't, it's like, if I can at least remember the word, I can search it and then find it. Because I'm like, okay, I know this is somewhere in the Book of Mormon or whichever book it's in. I can kind of and then I can narrow it down and find it based on, one or two words.
Yeah, you can divide it by comma. If you do no comma, we'll search for the phrase. But if I know the verse, it will take me there. So I don't know why it didn't take me to the section, but it should take me to the exact location. And if I don't know, it's not showing up there, so if I type again strange and then act, and I just put search, it will take me to the advanced search, and then it will try to help me with the references. So
nice.
And then you can start seeing, oh, look at that word, strange act. It's a very specific term, right? And then that's it. Those are the main features that we have available. And then all your recent 10 searches are going to be saved here. So I can go back if there is something that I found and I want to go back to it. I can just click on it, and then it will open the last search. Any thoughts, guys? And something that I didn't explain?
I was going to say, if you guys just want to touch on just the one aspect of searching out a word or phrase, being part of trying to build a definition of what that prophet is saying about that word. And that's part of why we're looking at all these words, right? Is like in order to build a definition of what that word or phrase, what it means. You guys want to touch on that at all, or maybe we save it for another time? But
no, it's a good idea, right? So the idea is you, like every prophet, there are kind of like ripples to the way that this applies. So like usually within a chapter, and of course the chapter breaks are sometimes kind of arbitrary, sometimes they're not. Within a chapter, it's like the themes and the ideas are all usually kind of related. So if you go to a few verses back and a few verses forward, that you can kind of see, how they reflect on each other. And then within a book, so within a single author, the way that they use words, there's going to be like, it'll have its own internal reality, right? So how does Nephi define Gentiles or something to that effect, right? And the way that you can kind of triangulate on that is by going and seeing all the references that Nephi uses it in, right? And you see the context and you can kind of start to put a definition together. And that becomes a key for all of the places that it appears. You can take the whole and you can read it into the individual verses, and that starts to unlock some of the meaning. How'd I do, Rachel?
That was perfect. Exactly. That was what I was thinking, but I didn't get it out of my mouth. So it was.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, the more you understand the context, then the better then you can create that reality, that definition, and then you can compare to another prophet what they thought about it. And yeah, I was looking for the other day the phrase the day of the Lord, and I know this phrase appears in Isaiah a lot, but then I was shocked how then noticed that Ezekiel also mentioned it. I know Joel mentioned it, and Amos and Malachi, but then yeah, you start seeing that, okay, I can now maybe find what is for Isaiah's definition, the day of the Lord, and then compare it with the other prophets, and yeah, start tying things together. So somebody make the comment if we're gonna add more books. Yeah, so this is our roadmap for the next few months, maybe rolling into next year. But I would like to have the Yosemite translation. I already start adding it, and it's gonna be in process. It's kind of a lot of work because we have to take it and then rendering in a specific format. And I thought I found online repository with all the documentation, and nobody has it in a way that you can upload it. So we have to manual coding the verses, and then we can add it. So that is something that we would like to have. And then Cameron mentioned maybe have the lectures on faith and other works. The Apocrypha, I would like to have the Apocrypha too. I think the Yosemite translation, I cannot use inspired version of the Bible that's copyright right now, but I can use a Yosemite translation because the text is in the Yosemite papers. We will have to name it something like this, GST translation. And then most of the Apocrypha books are also a public domain, so we can add them. I would like to have a dictionary, so then when you search for a word, you can also have the option to enter synonyms and a variation of it that for example, the word narrow sometimes can be translated as also straight or stretch. And then you can start, oh my goodness, it's saying the same thing, different words. And when you add the option to add synonyms from the 1829 dictionary or a Hebrew lexicon, then you can start finding those. The word for banner, ensign, standard, same word. And yeah, you can start then making a bigger, more advanced search and finding those scriptures. And then yeah, adding a Hebrew lexicon. Also, that will be a fun thing to have. So you can click on every verse, and then for the Old Testament verses, see the Hebrew, for the New Testament, see the Greek. And then the last thing will be, of course, add notes. So you can add your own notes and save them. That will require more development. That will be more ahead on our roadmap of priorities. But I know everybody wants to have notes. And then eventually I would love to have myself visual tools, so you can kind of cluster some scriptures and then create some mind maps or concept maps, and yeah, have fun with it. So this in any way replace the spirit, and sometimes you can get caught up into using it as a toy. I have done that before, but I know that eventually I hope this is just a resource for people to receive personal revelation, and the Spirit will bring all things to your remembrance. And the more we can practice, I think, then the more the Spirit can eventually help us to make those connections. That's the way to assimilate truth, and not the tool do the job for you. So we're passive more than as a co-pilot. So that's all I have.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Rodolfo. So awesome.
So, and one maybe potential idea I'll throw out here live, Rodolfo, I'd love to see if maybe you think this is something that'd be doable, is in the spirit of getting a sense for like an author's definition, maybe one feature we could potentially put on the roadmap would be like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a hyperlink option. So you can click over and maybe see a filter where it turns on the hyperlinks, and then you can click on a word and you can see a list of all the times, maybe it comes up in another window or something, and you can see all the times that Isaiah uses the word or a phrase.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's doable for sure. Yeah. So you can click on a word and then you see all the live cross references.
Right. Yeah. And maybe you can split it up. So like you see, well, what are the ones that, first Nephi is using, and then beyond that, within the Book of Mormon, and beyond that within the, broader standard work.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think I'll take note on that and start putting out there in the roadmap.
This is very, very cool. very excited. And yeah, I think this is going to be a great tool moving forward for this kind of searching.
Awesome. And works on mobile. There
I
is
it works on my phone too. So far, I got it to work on my Apple phone pretty easily.
there are features like splitting the screen that won't work on
Yeah.
a mobile device, but all the other search and all the other tools are working. We're not planning to have an app yet because I think when we have a final version, we can consider having as an application on your mobile device, but that's a completely different language. And I don't want to stress about that anytime soon. But you can come right now. I can search diligently the net, and it's going to be available and play with
It's
it.
free.
Give us 100% free. Give us feedback, what you like, what you don't like, and then what would you like to see, and then let's see if we can make that happen. So I think we should not keep everybody else longer
Yeah.
on a Friday morning.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for making
And
the video.
Rachel, we're coming back August, right? From break.
3 weeks is August 14th, Thursday. That's when we're planned to come back
Okay, we will.
Thursday class.
Okay, we will send a couple of announcements.
Yeah.
Getting close to that.
And real quick, we love doing that class and it's super fun. And I think maybe it's helpful you guys get to see what comes from searching and doing that. But I feel like it's not our focus. Our focus is really to help everyone learn how to do the searching. So I hope you guys see that. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
So thank you, guys.
Guys.
I see ya.
Okay. Awesome.
Oh, that'd be cool.
How was the game?